Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games, the Week in Games. As you can tell, Christmas is coming. Top of the morning to you, Christmas folk. And I hope everyone's doing well. We have about 16 days left before Christmas begins in full earnest on Christmas morning. Um, and it's time to just think of great things and great opportunities to bless people and usually to be blessed by those people. So I for one have just warm-hearted just knowing that my kids, as always, every year always find the perfect gifts for me. They always have an uncanny knack of knowing which board games to buy me. The fact that I have them ready to give them and wrap to get back to me might be a little ancillary to it, but nevertheless, they're thrilled when they get them when I get my board game, and so am I. So, and to be fair, they do buy me gifts of their own accord too. But hey, there we go. So with that, let's just get right into the news. Interestingly enough, we now have another Legacy to go with all the other Legacy style games. Pandemic Legacy, Tiddlywinks Legacy, etc. Clank Legacy, which actually seems to me like it would fit. Clank is a game, like a maze game. You go down into a dungeon or a space, or and you're trying to race against time to collect treasure and get out alive. And in that regard, the Legacy idea seems like it could have some interesting facets to it in the Clank universe. Kickstarter has put out there's a new Kickstarter title called Treadles on a Tree, which is a Christmas game. Now the caveat here is that it's for Christmas 2019, but it is inexpensive. It looks very charming, and something people might want to check out. So, Sagrada, a game which I thoroughly enjoyed for exactly 11 minutes, is quickly becoming the dominion of expansionism. They've already released the 5 to 6 player expansion with extra glass cards and such for those of you who know it. They've also announced not one, not two, but 3 expansions next year: Passion, Life, and Glory. All of these expansions are meant to be added to the base game to provide a different facade, as you will. Eventually, I expect they'll just come out with a deluxe bundle and they'll just call it Pillars of the Earth, the board game. And finally, on Steam, there's a new card game, a digital card game called Artifact, which was just released by renowned Magic the Gathering designer Richard Garriott in collaboration with Valve itself. The game itself has been positively received, although there are some uh, complaints about the pricing model and the pay to win kind of thing. If that bothers you, it doesn't bother me. I played the game for a bit. I found it very smooth, very polished, and very interesting. So those of you who like Magic the Gathering or who like card games and don't mind digital world of such would check it out. So with that, let's get to my question of the week. So the question of the week that I got was, hey, what's your favorite Christmas game? Because you know it's Christmas, so there must be games with Christmas themes, right? And my answer to that is none. I just haven't found a Christmas game yet that I thought was just awesome. Now, there were some interesting ones. There was a Nightmare on Elm Street card game, I believe by Andrew Parks, done quite a few years ago. And that was interesting, but there really aren't a large group of Christmas themed games. There's like even Renegade, a game that released earlier this year, has a little Christmas card, and there are times when people imbue Christmas type pieces or themes or stories or events or cards or whatever into existing games, but there just hasn't been an awesome Christmas game yet. So that's the answer to my question, sad as it is. So with that, let's get to my 3 games. First game I picked up, this is an oldie but goodie. And by oldie, I mean it's a few years old. It's not 30 years old. Talon by Jim Crone, who also did Space Empires. This is a tactical combat game with a little bit of a twist in that you are taking your fleet and you are fighting over an area of space with your opposing fleet. It's 2-player. And you are actually drawing. It's a writing game. So you get your dry erase markers, and you actually write on the ships the stats as they come and go. And so it does eliminate a lot of counter management, But it's interesting. I actually am enjoying it more and more. I broke it out a while ago. I came back to revisit it this week, and I might even actually do a review of it because I think it's got some things that might be interesting to others, as well as a new expansion pack coming out, Talon 1000, which promises 1000 scenarios, which usually means it's like 10 and you derive tiny things about it. But Lord of the Rings, The Duel. Now, I have a lot of Lord of the Rings games, as many as I can muster. This one is more of a tug of war. Imagine, if you will, that you are fighting. It's really like Balrog versus Gandalf, and you're fighting back and forth across this giant pit to see who falls in. It seems like it would be boring, but in actuality, it's actually a decent game. The problem I have with this, in that it's like maybe 6.5, whatever, and it's not bad. The problem is that Lord of the Rings Confrontation is a vastly, vastly more interesting game to me. Plays in the same amount of time, and just really is just better. It's like Stratego done right. And it was, I believe, Reiner Knizia's finest game for me. So while this is good, if you find it, it's interesting. I think I like the guesswork that it has, the sort of like tucking away cards for your final game, but trying to not instantly lose as you're tug of warring back and forth. But interesting. And finally, I've been waiting for a game called Treasure Island, which is another game where you're writing. There's a lot of people. Dry erase markers are going to be in vogue very quickly with the amount of games coming out that want you to just draw all over them. That's this is interesting because you're sort of hunting down clues, trying to find treasure from Long John Silver, who you have captured. At least that's what I understand. I don't have the game yet. Not at all. I hope my kids get it for me for Christmas, and I hope they wrap it up and give it to me for Christmas or my birthday next week. So I can only tell you what I think the game will be like and how thick it might be, and that it's 2 to 5 players, and it might take 45 minutes, but I don't know until the game arrives, right? And with that, let's get to Tim's Tantrum. Get off my land. It's more like Tim's Grinch moment. Why aren't there more Christmas games? Why? I can think of one compelling reason. Because Christmas is very seasonal. Ha 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 ha. And that means that there aren't many opportunities to play the game, so maybe it wouldn't be as big to try to do that. Now, I am impressed with that Kickstarter I mentioned earlier. It seems like a very delightful game that you could pull out at Christmas. But maybe that's why. It's just because it's not a market that will buy the game all year long, that maybe that's why. There are tons of like entries, say on Board Game Geek, for Christmas games, but none of them seem really that interesting. I could be wrong, though, and I invite you guys to tell me if you see, hey, you forgot about this Christmas game, which we absolutely adore. Now, in my mind, there are lots and lots of opportunities for Christmas games if the market proves that someone can put it out and sell it and make a good living at it. I think they could if it was interesting enough. I'd love to see a game of A Christmas Carol. I'd love to see Charles Dickens reimagined in some sort of board game setting. Because that is by far my favorite non-biblical story of all time. I will read that and I will watch almost every variant of that, even the Jim Carrey one. But what is it about the Christmas? I don't know. I don't know what it is, unless maybe people are busy enjoying Christmas and they just don't play Christmas games. I don't know. And because there's tons of games to play and they don't have to be Christmas themed, but I am interested in why not. There seems to be a lot of stories around that seems like you could create interesting, compelling gameplay from, with a little twist, beyond just, hey, help Santa deliver the packages, which would be the kind of the go-to I think I'd start with. But I am interested in what kind of themes there are about that we could maybe find as compelling Christmas fodder for games. But that's it for this week. By next week I should have hopefully a review of Talon. I'm expecting that. I did a review of The River earlier. Shout out to Jared, and thankful that his brother was able to survive a kayak mishap, which was, I was playing The River and I'm like, yeah, thank goodness. Glad he's okay. Anyway, with that, we are thankful and grateful to have you as viewers, we being me, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.